We are live. We're back. Policy and culture. We have another great episode. Another tremendous. I can't even say a special guest. To me, I think it's somebody what we'll call almost superhuman. It's somebody that I've gotten to personally know now for the last couple of years. I've been blessed most recently to even have this individual as a personal mentor as mine, not only a senior advisor of the organization, but has done incredible work across not only the region, but is an international CEO that is a star in the technology space, entrepreneurial space. So we're going to learn a lot about the technology space and entrepreneurship in general. Again, this is always about policy and culture, and it's very important to understand how those two things even have an impact in that tech incubator space. So once again, my name is Dan Lloyd, my co-host
Andrea DG.
And we are blessed to have the one and only Mr. Derek Peterson, CEO and founder of Soter Technologies, on today.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's an honor. It's an honor. Like we've said, we've gotten to know you now for a couple of years. Before we get into where you're at right now with Soter and the business and technology, you're another Long Island native. You know, we're from the island.
Absolutely.
And we love to learn more about your journey. How did you get to this space? Where exactly you're from? And just a little bit of your background.
How I got here is really nothing short of the grace of God, first of all glory to him. But I'm native from Long Island, grew up in Bayshore, graduated from Bayshore High School, ended up going to Stony Brook University to get my degrees in computer science, applied math. Went on then to the corporate America, worked at a small startup firm first, doing writing tax software, believe it or not. And then left the tax world, running that software company, and went on to a company called Soter Technologies, which you may know it now as a company called Zebra Technologies. But back in the day, it was Symbol, then became Motorola. I started off there at Symbol as a junior engineer, then climbed the ranks to become a vice president of engineering, and then eventually left there to start my entrepreneurial spirits. And fast forward, I'm on my third startup called Soter Technologies. And if you study Greek mythology, you know that Soter comes from the Greek goddess safety, and everything we do is how to keep people safe.
Yeah, I love it.
Major.
Let's go back to Little Bayshore though. What era is this? Is this the 80s?
It's the 80s. I'm an old head.
Okay. I just want to make sure we understand.
We're in the 80s, early 80s. I graduated.
Who was nice back then? What was that? Who was nice back then?
Gary Williams was tough. Gary Williams was like the best player to come from Bayshore, but they had the coach Gordon Thomas. That was pretty good. He went to St. John's University. Bayshore's a legendary town. They got some good ball players that come from there.
Gordon Thomas,
William Frisbee came from Bayshore. He went to the University of Miami. Bayshore got a long history of ball players. Brian Lassiter, you know Lassiter, he's tough.
Lassiter, yeah.
Can't leave out the Swinsons.
The Swinsons is good. They got a player they got a kid right now that's on the Panthers, I believe, football, right? Panthers, yeah. Shout out to Swinsons. Aiden Swinson played in the Boulder Mac Park League. He just came out of Bayshore, I think 2 years ago. So shout out to the Swinson family.
Yeah, but hidden secret, when I was in school, I played soccer. That was my thing.
Oh, yeah?
I played varsity soccer, not basketball. I was actually too short to make the basketball team. I graduated high school at 5'1".
Yeah, you mentioned that, but I don't believe that. 5'1"?
I got receipts on that.
When'd you get your growth spurt? When'd you shoot up?
I grew a foot in a year in college. My freshman to sophomore year, I grew a foot. And then I was a walk-on to the Stony Brook basketball team, made that team.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I played one season there. Ended up leaving the team because I couldn't study and play ball at the same time. Yeah. At the time, Stony Brook was only Division III. So I wasn't going pro. It wasn't like the Knicks were calling me up anytime soon. And back then, when you're studying doing computer science, I had to actually be physically in the computer lab. So there's no internet, there's no laptops. There's just a big machine, data center that's bigger than this room right now that I had to be chained to. So while people could study on the bus, I couldn't. I didn't have that luxury. So therefore, if I didn't go to practice because I was too busy doing my work, I didn't play in the games. So this didn't make no sense. So I ended up quitting the basketball team and joining intramurals and won 3 championships in the intramurals. So that was fine.
What when you were younger, how did you know that you wanted to get into the technology space? Like, what was it interesting to you? What introduced you to that?
So coming up, remember, I'm a little older than most people here. There was really no technology. Technology was just beginning. Yeah. And so I was thinking I was going to go to school to go study medicine. And then, the guidance counselor says, you should take a computer class. And what is that? Who's doing something with computers? And before you know it, I fell in love with it. I started taking some, and this is a computer class where I'm dealing with punch cards. And so that's how far back we're going.
Wow.
I'm like, I like this stuff. Then eventually they come out with the first, what they call personal computer, the PC. And in high school, before anybody started making any video games or anything else, I wrote a video game for breakdancing. And that became
Really?
the biggest thing in Bayshore. I got all the paperwork on and everything. That became the biggest. I was like, imagine like in 1980 something, I'll leave it at that. I've got characters breakdancing on the computer screen, and people just went crazy for it. Then I fell in love with technology at that point.
Wow.
Me and Dan speak about the culture of this, like, and we feel like it's almost frowned upon coming from our neighborhoods when you're somewhat educated, when you want better, it's frowned upon from like the culture, right? How did you manage that, being into like the computers, being like that in the Bayshore community?
Well, the problem with our culture is somebody wants to advance. Some people who are not advancing want to try to hold you back, and then think all of a sudden you're too good for them, which was never the case. So for a part of the time being, unfortunately, I had to cut people off just so I could succeed. Once I got to the levels I wanted to be at, then I tried to reach back out to my neighborhood, to quote unquote my homeboys and so forth, and say, look, Derek has not changed. I can rock a hoodie and everything else with everybody, but I'm just not gonna necessarily take my seat and not do anything. I'm still gonna advance my cause. And if you need help, I'm here to help you. I'm always ready to help the next man.
Yeah. And how big is it? I've been blessed again to meet some of your brothers and whatnot, and you all work together. How big is that as far as when we talk about culture in the community, is just that family environment, like really kind of having that, they say nature versus nurture system.
Family stuff to work with. You got to navigate that. And you got to be willing to, not necessarily where you put your feelings on your sleeves and work through, because it's going to be complicated. Like you mentioned, my brother is one of my vice presidents in the company. He does a tremendous job. But we may not see eye to eye on a lot of things. Like, bro, you're slacking. I can't have it. Or he'll call me out. And we got to realize it's nothing personal. It's not that we don't love each other. It's all about the business, how we forward the business.
Shout out to Troy. He thinks he's strong too, man. Troy do some push-ups. But to go back again, because it's very important at this age, because we have listeners that are younger. And again, as policy and culture. So right now, we really want to focus on this culture aspect, because you knew graduating, you're saying going into college, so senior going into that college. How is this something that was a passion? Like, did you love doing this, or did you feel like it was hard work? Because right now, there's a lot of discussions going on about if you love what you do, it shouldn't be hard work. Do you think that's a true statement?
I love what I do, and it's hard work.
So you do.
So it was hard work in school, especially graduating from Steinbrook, because in my graduating class, there's only about 8 brothers who graduated from the computer science department. So. And the numbers are very low, so people are always counting me out that you're not going to succeed. But I was too, stubborn to give up, and so I just continue to press through. But it's been hard work, and even now running a company and dealing with all these international players, it's still hard work. The work's never easy, but I enjoy the work.
To dig a little bit deeper, back when you created that, what you said it was like the first video game in Bayshore where people was dancing, right? Did the response you got from that motivate you more to get into that, or was this more like I'm really interested in this?
The response continued to fuel me to continue to go, for sure. So all the accolades and response get, all right, I want more of this. Let me continue to press on.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so entrepreneurship was a big thing right now. Was it a big thing when you were coming up? Or is it more so like you just wanted to get a job in corporate doing this? I
was a hustler from way back when. Okay. So like a lot of people tell you stories. They sold candy in school and everything. So I was a candy man in school. So I was always hustling. I was always had nickels and quarters and dimes in my pocket. I'd go to a distributor, buy a box of lollipops for a nickel each lollipop and sell it for 25 cents. So I always, no matter what, I was hustling and doing some type of business. So now that I can actually do it on a bigger scale, it's my word, more better.
And so you said this is your third startup?
Third startup.
What was the first two?
So after I left Symbol, I started a company called Computers by Design, or CBD. And what we made was a library software, believe it or not.
Okay.
So you got to think now, the early 90s, there's something called the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They're giving away computers to libraries. And libraries now are getting machines, they don't know how to use them. And they're running they're going from a world of DOS, as operating system, now they're going into Windows. And I'm like, everybody's like, what is this? How do we use this? And so forth. And also at the same time, the internet's coming into play. And so this is around the same time people were using modems to connect to the internet at home.
Dial-up.
Dial-up. They use smart modems and things like that. You're dialing up. So now libraries got these computers. They got the internet coming in. People are coming into the library to get on the internet. And then it's forming crazy lines. So the library needed some type of software to manage those public computers. So we wrote the first software product to manage public computers and also then charge for printing. So the package was called Cybrarian, which managed all the machines in the library, and then also charged for printing when people wanted to print. And we amassed about 3,000 customers, and we party like rock stars. The librarians can party.
Where is the fundraising? Because a lot of people have ideas, and maybe it's a great idea, but they can't figure out how to raise money to build that idea. Did you have to counter that, or did you jump headfirst with some capital?
No, so everything I've done is always bootstrapped. So I've never raised money. Well, let me back up. My first startups never raised money. It was just always bootstrapped because I was able to make it myself. I'm a developer, so if I'm making software, I can make it myself. Yeah. And then also what I tend to do is I'll start selling stuff before I even make it. I take the bet on myself that if I can get this sold, I can get it built.
Got it.
I've been very successful at doing that. You can call it lucky, but it's worked.
Yeah. And then what was the second startup?
The second startup, then I partnered with ex-colleagues from my Symbol days, and they formed a company called IPS, Intelligent Product Solutions. And then from there, we're hired guns of engineering services.
Got it.
And so you call us in to design whatever product. So design whatever product you want to design. For example, we're instrumental in designing the airport body scanner. We're instrumental in designing the Google Jamboard. I can go down a list of products that we designed because there was a bunch of smart engineers. Eventually, we had about 110 employees before I left. And the reason why I left, because I wanted to do something different. That was services, and then now I wanted to go back and making products. And that's why I left to form a company called Digital Fly, which then later becomes Soter Technologies.
Soter, okay. Yeah, so that's where you're at now. And then, so for people that are listening, I guess this is could be in the policy aspect of it because Soter has to do a lot with vape.
Absolutely.
And vaping in school, and so there's a lot of legislation. Were there any political barriers to getting this product into the market?
There's no political barriers to get into the market. However, the politicians are becoming my best friends because it looks good for them to support me.
Okay.
And I'm meeting with politicians. As a matter of fact, I have some meetings this week with more local politicians.
Okay. And Soter at this point is an international company.
We export into over 40 countries right now.
Wow.
With Australia being one of the largest importers of our products.
Major.
Yeah, and do you feel, as a tech startup CEO that's been doing this for quite some time, did you ever feel that being a black man was more of a disadvantage, or you feel like that was, or did you not feel anything at all? Is it about the idea?
It's about being a black man is a disadvantage. Period. I mean, you always got to work twice as hard, always come clean, come sharp.
Did you feel that on the whole ladder route?
Whole ladder up, especially when I was in corporate America. Even in corporate America, when I was working, the guy next to me in the next cube over doing the exact same job he's making almost twice as much money as I was making. Until I eventually found out, the next thing you know that, I got 3 pay adjustments to catch up with everybody.
And I think this is important right now because a lot of, our viewers that seeing this, they're in situations, just speaking for myself, and workforce situations where we're seeing that happen and got to go through situations. How did you handle that? What was your solution to navigate through that?
Well, in the corporate America, I went directly to HR and threatened to get involved with the EEOC and just take everybody to litigation for, unequal pay. And so I was ready to stand behind it and go toe to toe. So if you're not, I wasn't bluffing. So if you're gonna come with it, you can't bluff. You got to come strong and don't come at all.
Yeah. And that basically puts you back into the equivalent of where you're supposed to be at.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now, as a CEO that has, you said, almost 20 employees. Yeah. With an international product.
So I have 20 direct, but then I have a manufacturing group that I employ probably another 15 people to make the product also.
And what's that daily grind, though, of being a CEO? Again, entrepreneurship is almost like this. I feel like people are getting more realization of how hard it is now. But in the past 10 to 15 years, it was kind of like, I want to be an entrepreneur, buy a Lambo, be a YouTuber, content creator. But you realize that when you become the CEO and the boss, you got to deal with salaries. You can't you have to pay people,
You gotta pay
workers'
people.
compensation, disability, all these payroll. Payroll is the most annoying thing in the world.
That just keeps coming every 2 weeks from me. That payroll. But the grind is real. So you gotta. So I rarely get a chance to do what I like to do, and that is design new stuff. So otherwise, I'm managing, like you said, the payroll, HR issues I gotta deal with. I also think I deal with my bankers, my lawyers. I got multiple. I mean, I can tell you, man, lawyers have guys like in crazy amount of lawyers that I gotta deal with on a daily basis.
I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of IP, intellectual property.
I got my patent attorneys, I got my SEC attorneys, I got my corporate attorneys, I got my litigation attorneys. I mean, I'm a marked man. I probably encounter 2 or 3 lawsuits a year, people trying to sue me.
Really?
Absolutely.
So as a creative, like, how do you manage that, not being able to kind of like jump to the next project like kind of you want to be? I know your mom be going. How does it?
I keep a black book of everything I want to develop. And so at night, I'm still on my quote unquote own time. I'm still in the lab myself. I hold roughly about 80 patents right now. And I'm looking to bring some of those to market now.
We speak about time. Me and Dan speak about time. He constantly reminds me of how important time is, right? And it's just a lot of things that you was telling us that you do through the day. You got different hats, right? How do you manage all of that? How do you manage your time of going to the gym 7 days a week, getting time in your little black book, managing your employees, so on and so forth?
You gotta to manage time. You gotta be really dedicated to your craft. And so I don't waste a lot of time doing stupid things like scrolling through TikToks and everything else and watching TV and so forth. Although if I am watching TV, it's a sports game, and then I'm also doing multitasking at that point. And so I carefully plan out my time throughout the day what I need to get done, and then I'm on a routine schedule. And I'm a creature of lists. My to-do lists have to-do lists, and so I'm always checking off everything I have to get done for that day.
That's a good point, actually. Let's talk about that a little bit, because it's something I still struggle with as an entrepreneur. Me and Drew talk about this all the time, and you hear different things, right? So there's like the 5 a.m. club, there's this, that, and the third, there's deep work where you're literally no distraction. In your opinion, because you seem more like a real process guy, meaning like you 5 o'clock in the morning getting up? What time are you going to bed?
12.
Oh, so you really not getting, you getting 5 hours of sleep?
4 or 5 hours, yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's always functional.
The last X amount of years,
Wow.
30 plus years.
Yeah, so that's tough, because they're saying like most people need 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, not everybody's built like I go like that, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And I get up and still work out in the gym at 5. I'm in the gym by 5 a.m. every morning.
Do you think somebody could be a successful entrepreneur, a CEO, and not have the discipline of that task list? Is it possible?
It's possible. People do get lucky. I had one boss when I left out of college, and I did the tax software. He was about as not the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And he just got lucky, and all his customers hate him, but he's getting new customers each year. And so there is the thing of luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't recommend that.
Yeah. I mean, because it's sometimes I'm like, man, how is this 24 hours a day is not enough?
It's definitely not enough. But then you also have to be able to, you got to also be able to find time for yourself. So when I'm working out and everything, that's me time to meditate.
Yeah.
Like this past weekend, I'm training for a marathon. So my long run was 11 miles. So I'm running my 11 miles. I got my music going, but I'm also then processing everything I get done for the week. So it's my own time for like meditation.
I love that word. You're a computer guy, so that probably means very similar things, processing. It's something that my mother used to say to me all the time when I was younger, and I hated when she would say it, because it was like, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Why can't? Because you process differently. We're processing, you process. As I got older, though, I realized, and I kind of better understood what she was saying, because a lot of my peers, the kids I grew up with, I realized like, damn, like, it's not even like that one person smarter than the other. It's just literally the processing of their thoughts.
Correct.
There's no ability to process their thought into the market or their thought into discipline. So how important is that too? Do you feel like that's a huge separation between successful and not successful when it comes to...
you have to have a complete, so in the process, I can visualize from the blank piece of paper to the end product and selling and making money. A lot of people can't connect those dots.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's a huge issue for a lot of people. they get stuck with the barrier. Like, okay, how do I get from here,
Yeah.
point A to point B? And I'm like, I'm already at Z.
So off rip, you seeing it. This is it, and this is the way to make money right off the rip.
Right off the bat. Like, for example, during COVID, my business pretty much was shutting down because we sold to schools and nobody's going to schools. And so what we're able to do, I told my engineers what we're going to do. We're going to design a product to help the world with COVID. So we designed a product called Symptom Sensor, which is a medical gateway. I saw it from start to end how we're going to get this done. Everybody thought I was crazy. I lost my rocker and I was out there smoking some crazy weed. But we built the product, this gateway, and I was able to sell it and ship it all around the world. And people thought I was crazy.
It's usually like that when you got things like that. Like, people think that shit crazy.
It's a good pivot. So that A to Z though, because again, when you get to the point of where you're at and you have a family, you're running a business, you have employees, I want to talk a little bit about the actual business structure of a successful company, meaning not just revenue, profit, right? And when you have an idea, let's just say a product is $10.
Yeah.
Can you break down a little bit what it would cost to build the product and then get it to market where you have profit from it?
There's different. We make a hardware platform product. So there's different products you can make. You can be software, which is a product also. But just in the hardware world, that's a heavy lift in regards to engineering and manufacturing. So I have an engineering team that will design the product per se, and I'm spending a lot of money on what they call an R&D and an investment just for these engineers' salaries to design this product. Once they have it designed, then I have to figure out how to get it manufactured. That's a whole nother group, and I got to spend money on tooling. So when you have a plastic product, a product that's made of plastic, something called tooling, how are you going to make that product, formate that? Tooling can cost you anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 just to make that tool to stamp out those plastic parts. And then you're still not manufacturing yet. I still have to spend what they call PCB boards, those are circuit boards that go inside that box whatever you're creating. So I got to spend money on that. And then I'm still not done yet. Then I have to make everything. Then I have to get somebody to assemble it all. Then I have to go through a level of testing. So I have a test group test everything. And then eventually I have to get through my marketing and packaging. So what is the product on that pretty box? When you buy an Apple laptop, you got that pretty box, everything else, that look and feel. That costs money too. I got to spend money on my boxes, logos, and design and everything else. Then eventually, once I have all that done, I'm ready to finally start shipping my product. And no matter how good your product is, if you don't have a good marketing team and a marketing message, it's going to go nowhere.
So you don't feel good product sell itself?
Good products won't sell itself.
That's interesting. Have you read Contagious?
Good marketing sells. Because if you can have a great product, but if you can't tell anybody, nobody knows about it.
Nah, I'm very big on marketing. Like, social currency is like everything. So I'm big on that. Like,
and marketing sells everything.
Yeah.
But then, so again, for the entrepreneurs that are listening, you just mentioned, let's just say hypothetically, is that $250,000 just to get the product out the door?
If you're making a hardware product, that's what you better think about.
So that product, when you're looking at the revenue stream, you have to sell it to a certain amount of units where you're making a profit on that.
Yeah, you got to sell a certain amount of units to make a profit on it, but you have to sell a certain amount of units not only to make a profit on that unit, but also to keep the lights on in the
Exactly,
office. So in my office, I got an accounting staff.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I've got support staff. I mean, everything else is running. Then I got a sales team.
Yeah.
So everybody's expecting every 2 weeks get that check.
Yeah.
And so I got to sell a lot of that stuff.
You said something earlier, and kind of like me and Dan goes back and forth on that. Something else you said that's kind of like making me think a certain way. Like you said, I sell my product before I even make it.
Correct.
Then you said, I see when I start something, I'm seeing the finish of it already, right? I feel the same way. That's why I feel like I connected with you with certain things that I do. Do you feel like that? Does that make you take shortcuts, kinda, when you're doing your product, or you don't have to go as hard as the next person that's doing it?
Well, I know the path to success, so I can take some shortcuts other people can't do, because I know, like, at the end of the day, I'm betting on myself. And so, in my head, I never lose.
I feel you. I'm telling you, I feel exactly where you're coming from.
Like, I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I can take some shortcuts and so forth, knowing that I'm gonna be able to deliver. And in the hardware and software world, there is no product that's perfect. How many times your laptop crash lock up on you? How many times an app on your phone lock up on you? So I can go out not being perfect. So I just need to having what they call a minimum viable product, something that's ready for the market and get out there and people can see it, knowing that I'm going to keep making versions of it and version to get it better. But you can't design a product in a vacuum, meaning that I can make something in my head look so good, then when I eventually get that to somebody in the street, I'm like, what is this piece of crap?
That's a thin line, though, right? That's a fine line because, again, you mentioned we have these conversations, and this is not necessarily in our conversations, but I just had a meeting with somebody. They gave me a breakdown of their product, and it wasn't a product, but in his mind, I know that he's betting on himself.
Sure.
But there's a lot of people like that are treading a line of delusion and then also faking it till you make it, and possibly can give you lucky like your old boss. So how do you actually navigate those very, very fine lines?
You have to have some good counselor on you, some good mentors, because those fine lines can be tricky because you can be in love with your product or maybe designing and you go broke doing that, which I've seen a lot of people do also.
Yeah. So but this goes back to does the product sell itself in a way, because so you have
well, 1 second before, people like to also create products that doesn't really solve a problem. So they create this app or whatever they're going to be, device, and it's just a fun thing.
Yeah.
And that's not going to solve anything. So anything I ever create is because I'm solving a specific problem. There's a specific market for it.
Have you ever read Contagious by Jonah Berger?
No.
See, and that's why I disagree a little bit with the marketing. Marketing is definitely good, but I feel like exclusivity sometimes, and not marketing sometimes, certain things make it to where it's at a higher demand. That's why I feel like down the lines of good product sells itself as well.
But you have to get the name out there. So how somebody get to know the product?
If say a special person has it, that one person has it.
For example, if Shaq had my product, it'd probably sell a lot faster because that one special person. So you get that quote unquote influencer, yeah, that'll work big time. But that's another version of marketing. If I had whatever X amount of millions of dollars, and say here Shaq, why don't you market my product? Just show it once. Yeah, but that's still marketing.
Are you familiar with the name, image, and likeness with the college athletes now being able to get paid? How would you with Soter Technology be able to see like a connection with the student athletes with that, where you could have like some NIL deals and stuff going on?
I don't know if my product really will carry over to the NIL, to the college athletes and so forth, because we're not necessarily consumer based. And so all those deals that you see these college athletes are doing, because of a consumer-based product. So we're more of like B2B and selling to schools. So it's a different market set there.
In one of the roles that I'm involved with Accelerate Long Island, it's with high-tech incubation. Now, in the last 2 years, I have not come across, except for you, one black entrepreneur that is in that tech space, so to say.
Sure.
We do a lot of work, though. We'll use this culture umbrella for this in the community. And a lot of people want to be business owners, entrepreneurs.
Yeah, they all think it's great.
But the industries usually tend to be clothing. It could be barbershop, even a store, a restaurant.
Yeah.
Why do you think that we get into industries that you really can't scale? Like you said, the A to Z. So if you start a barbershop, unless you open 5, you're kind of stuck in that space.
That's correct.
You maximize it depends on how many seats you have.
Yeah.
You really can't scale that. Even with clothing, unless it's a massive hit, which it's usually not, you can't really scale or sell that company to, unless it was like FUBU and Damon John and stuff like that. Why do you think on Long Island we're lacking that black entrepreneur that's getting into tech?
That's really comes down to exposure. A lot of people are people not necessarily exposed to the technology and the possibilities that are out there, and so they don't know. They know about clothing and restaurants and food and doing all this services stuff, but not many young adults of color know about what's available for them in the tech space. How can they become a tech entrepreneur? There's nobody sharing, teaching them the way. And so if you don't have that exposure, how you gonna know this?
But I feel like you do a lot of it. Like there's a lot of people that are exposing, but I don't know if it's culturally like interesting.
It's not. It's really
Why
not.
do you think that is, though?
Because it's quote unquote, it's not cool.
So I want Drew to
That goes back to what I was talking about. How do we make this appealing? How do we get a community where it's like a 16-year-old, 15-year-old Derek Peterson is accepted the same way that the star basketball player is accepted? We need that type of community.
We need that community for sure. I don't know how to get there. I'm willing to help, but we definitely need that community right there because a lot can be done in the tech space. There's not enough black tech entrepreneurs out there.
And I see it in the music world a lot. When you finally meet some of these guys that are like doing the behind the scenes keyboard work, computers and stuff. They're really like nerdy guys, but they're connecting through the music. I feel like in the tech space, we got to really bridge that gap somehow, where it's like a community where it's like embrace. It's like a bridge there.
Yeah, you know, that's actually a great point. Because engineers, in a way, it's basically computer science, computer technology.
Computer engineering, computer science, yeah, for sure.
Like, if a 15-year-old is playing varsity, he's the coolest kid in probably the school, the region.
Absolutely.
And we should figure out a way where, this could even be something with NIL. It's not necessarily an image of likeness with athletes, but when you know, like, they do the committed, they're going somewhere. Like, if a young kid is getting into science, technology, or math, and or engineering and excelling in it, we should celebrate that just the same way they're playing varsity in 9th grade.
I agree. That's
something
great.
of that nature.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm committed to XYZ University to study computer science or electrical engineering.
And that should be fly.
That should be.
Because we don't have any. I don't know.
I think those options got to be more visible. It's options. I feel like those options got to be visible. It's not every day we meeting a Derek Peterson. I never would have met him if I never would have met you. So it's like these options got to be more visible in our community. I don't think people just want to be bad. I don't think they just they don't want to not learn. I just think if they see someone like we was just telling Retha that they could touch and actually like, oh, nah, this is possible. The dream is obtainable. I think that'll be more,
agree. 100% agree.
Yeah, that's something that we could definitely dive into more when it comes on to the cultural development of, that's almost like influencer stems, like young people that are influencers.
So
but because of
last year, I partnered with Stony Brook, and we went through, I want to say 5 high schools to teach the people of color in these various high schools, these neighborhoods, about STEM and careers they can have at STEM going through Stony Brook University. And we were packing the auditoriums.
Did you feel like there was an interest from the students?
100% interest.
Yeah,
absolutely. But we were able to hit 5 schools like the Bay Shores, the Brentwoods, Longwood, Central Islip, and we had great response.
Looking back, is this a career path you would still go down, or is there another passion that you've always wanted to get into? I know, by the way, I said to Derek, Derek, you really don't like cars like that, huh? He said, who? I said, oh, what kind of car? Next time I see him, he pulled up.
When he pulled up?
He pulled up in the, what you have, the Porsche? Or
Porsche,
the
yeah.
I don't know. Ever since then, I didn't see
He's
him.
been playing with cars.
I got my collection. So that's what that's funny you say that. That's what the young kids like to ask. Like, do you got a bag? And that's what they want. They want to know, can I make some money in your field?
To them. That's appealing to them.
They get into sports because it's appealing. They can actually make money. And so, like, can you make money in this field? And the question is absolutely for sure.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to necessarily be a tech entrepreneur, but in the tech space, you can command a nice salary.
But now I'm thinking, though, this goes back to the processing and the discipline. And Drew, you might be able to elaborate on this a little more. When you're an athlete, you really are only especially if you're trying to be a professional athlete, you're dedicating your body to the sport. So it's like you're working out, you're eating right, you're training. And if you're really, really nice, maybe you could cheat on that a little bit, like you said. Like we were talking about before, like from A to Z, you could cheat because you know you're betting on yourself. But those athletes, if they're not making it through the physical discipline, you see that a lot of times they can't pivot into other industries.
Correct.
Do you think there's a difference, or I think that we could see there's a difference between a very successful tech entrepreneur that's making the same amount of money and an athlete because of the ability to live a fast life? Because naturally, I think most people, including myself, would rather have fun 10 hours of the day and maybe train 3 or 4 and then go back to partying than being behind a computer, unless that's something you're really passionate about.
I just think that when you look at that, they don't really attack the profession that way, because it's like, you could take shortcuts, be a professional basketball player, then they go in the fields of just nothing. You could go into GM work, you could go into coaching, you could go into training, you could go into trying to own a team, you could go into printing for team. It's mad different avenues that you could go into in sports that we don't go into, like in the tech field. Like they'll be on their third wing on their first try.
Yeah.
Like it's mad different avenues that they try. We only go for the playing part with sports.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, and this kind of going back to not the culture part, but just you seeing things through A to Z, you betting on yourself, right? Would you have said to somebody right now, like when you started, like I told you so, like this is I knew this was gonna happen. This is a fact that I knew this was it.
Yeah, but I would say yes, but I've also had my failures. So some things I thought was going to be a big hit.
Talk about that a little bit. What was some of the failures?
Wasn't a big hit. So I spent a lot of money and wasted a lot of money. But I've made millions and I've lost millions. Man, I've lost. Make me cry how much money I lost.
Yeah.
But I've lost enough to be successful. And you gotta be willing to lose and still stand back up the next day. Like back in the late 80s, early 90s, before there was ever Google. And another thing before I get there, it doesn't necessarily always pay to be first. Tell you that right now. Being number 2 in a marketplace is actually pretty good too.
It's something that we just had the conversation with Dan, and he was saying that. He just said the same thing.
Dan Bythwood, so he's a very successful real estate developer.
Okay.
And he literally said the same exact thing.
Yeah.
You want to be second, not first. Which is odd. I've never heard that before. I'm hearing twice in the same day.
The guy who is first has got to pave the way and open the doors. Once the door is open, the guy second just walks all in. The hard work's already been done.
Yeah.
And so with that said, in the late 80s, early 90s, when the internet's kind of just in its infancy and so forth, me and my partner at the time from my company, Computers by Design, we created a package called The Town. And you're going to think that's simple. But what The Town was, we geocoded all of Manhattan. And so I made a 3-dimensional map of all of Manhattan. So, okay, no big deal. We got that now. And then we also created a database of every nightclub, eatery, restaurant, anything you want to do for entertainment. And we called the package, first we called it concierge on a disc, hotel concierge, but we put it on a disc because we had floppy disks back then. Then we eventually migrated to call 1-800-THE-TOWN. And this software product was you put it in your computer and we'll help you plan a night or a night out. And we put that whole itinerary and everything else. People thought we were nuts, lost their mind and so forth. Now it's a thing on Yelp and Google Maps, and now everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
But we were first in the 90s, and we just didn't have enough money to keep doing it. We also had GPS mapping we designed too back then. People just thought, what do you need that for? I got a Hangstrom map.
But I think Dan kind of said it different with the first thing, right? Because he was talking about Manhattan as well. And he said, if we was the first ones that invest into Harlem right now, we'll be billionaires. So I think he said the first one through is the one that gotta like take the hits. Yeah, he was saying that like it was good to kind of be that in a way.
Sure.
The first one through.
But if you're the first one through and you got money to hold out, that's a good thing. Like if I would have been able to hold out back in the early 90s with my software product, it'd be a different story. It'd be a game changer.
And that's where capital comes into play. That's where a huge problem when it comes to capital in the black community.
Like for example, Jeff Bezos with Amazon, he was losing money for up to 20 years. And he didn't think he'd ever be successful. All of a sudden, boom, now he's the richest man in the world.
Yeah. Because he had the capital.
They had the capital to hold out and hold out. People believed in the vision.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Again, in this kind of pathway, though, getting into the space, where do you see this in the next 20 years? Because AI is disrupting a lot. Do you feel like there's still a lot of room for technology and engineers to kind of impact and disrupt the same way they have been, or are we losing?
There's always going to be a lot of room because technology forces more technology. And so we don't have enough stopgap measures in place for the new technology that's coming out. So there's always going to be more technology to see the current technology. It's never going to end. And so like I said, I've got over 80 patents right now for new technology that we didn't bring to market yet. And I've got more to come.
It's reminding me, who was the guy that who was the actor on Joe Rogan, and he had a bunch of patents.
You talking about Tracy? No, not Tracy Morgan. Light skinned dude.
Yeah.
No,
man.
he's from Hustle and Flow.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. He had a lot of patents. I'm not sure if you saw that episode.
No, hold on, I'm gonna find.
Oh man, it was incredible. He was talking a little bit about in your space, but it had a little more to do with geometry and energy and whatnot. But he had like 140 patents or something.
good.
What's the process of getting a patent? Should you, if you have a business, an idea, should you trademark and get a patent right away, or is that just a waste of money?
Well, first you start with a provisional patent. It allows you to protect your idea for up to a year before you actually turn it into a patent.
But who would need that though, in your opinion? If you're a young guy, woman.
Well, if you have what they call
Terrence
IP.
Howard.
Terrence Howard. Did you see that episode?
No, I didn't see that.
Check it out when you get a chance.
Yeah, so if you have what they call intellectual property, that you have a good idea that you want nobody to steal, that's when you want to think about getting the patent. And so not every idea is worth getting a patent. And sometimes you just have to be able to hustle and make your money first and build that name out there. So it's not always necessary to get a patent if you're willing to just hustle and get yourself out there.
Okay. That makes sense. What are your thoughts, though, on AI in general? What do you feel like it's going to benefit, or
AI is here to stay. AI is a great tool.
Do you think it's going to hurt, though?
I don't know. Hurt what?
Society?
I don't. Well, anything can hurt society.
We've never seen it like this, though.
No, but I think AI is going to be it. With any tool. So like even with the internet as it is, people use it for good, people use it for bad. You know, they got all kinds of craziness out there. And with AI, it definitely can be a useful tool to make your life easier, to make you more efficient, and so forth.
Yeah. No, I've definitely personally been, you know this.
Absolutely.
I'm like a ChatGPT fanatic, so I'm using it for a lot of stuff. Wanted to dive in a little more on the personal, because I know that and of course this is if you want to jump into that, but we always say health and wealth, right? Sure. And a huge part of being able to achieve your success is just literally being here. And you've encountered some, I would say, mountains, and
Absolutely.
you've been able to not only climb the mountain, but be able to stand here still to this day and show that you can fight the different fights that come through. So could you talk a little bit about some of the battles you've had in the past 2-3 years as an entrepreneur?
Sure. So in regards to, Dan was mentioned that health is wealth. And so I like to consider myself always one jump shot away from being on the Knicks and so forth, and love my athleticism and take pride of my physique and body and what I can do.
Hold on. One Joseph, he really talks about playing ball, but he's nice.
I am nice.
One Joseph,
Open invitation every Friday, 5 a.m. ball at LA Fitness. LA.
Oh, you know who we play?
Who?
5 a.m. Brotherhood.
Oh my God.
Open invitation. Anybody
So
wants
you with the 5 a.m. Brotherhood now?
I've been playing with them, yeah.
How's the runs down there been? How's that going?
The run's good, but
Okay.
let me, truth be told,
Yeah.
if I was their age back in my day, we wouldn't be on the same court.
Okay, but how's the competition right now though? Like how you competing out there right now? You winning ball games?
I'm OG and I'm winning ball games.
I like that. I like that.
That's facts right there. But anyway, April 28th, 2022, I got struck down. I was diagnosed with an aortic aneurysm in my heart. And I was going in. Matter of fact, from playing basketball, I broke my thumb. I was going in to have hand surgery to get my thumb fixed. And during the post-op, the pre-op, to make sure I can have the surgery, they discovered I had my heart was getting ready to burst. And next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I'm being cut open and my heart being taken out and repaired and put back in. And so now looking a little over 2 years past that surgery, it's been a nightmare and a struggle just to get back on my feet. And hopefully, God willing, in a few weeks, we're running my first technically half marathon as a comeback.
That's a miracle.
But
Definitely a miracle.
I shouldn't really be even standing here. Matter of fact, my aneurysm was so big, they put it in the medical journals as record book because it was just
Really?
My surgeon even filmed my heart. It was so big. He said, here's a video of your heart. We've never seen anything like this. It's like, how are you even standing? You know, it was crazy.
Wow.
So I've gone from never being sick, never in the hospital, nothing. Next thing that happened, when I was in the hospital, I looked up, when I finally was able to look at my phone again, Google, what's the worst possible surgery you can have? And that's open heart surgery, #1. I was like, dang, right to the top.
Jeez.
But today, you would never know that went through that.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I think, again, that's a testament of your dedication in general to whatever you're doing and you're focused on, and already having a healthy balance when it comes to your body and mind.
So the doctors also said that one of the reasons I was able to survive everything is because I was so healthy going into the surgery. And so even when I was in the hospital, they put me through rehab and everything else, and they were asking me to do stuff, I was able to do it, and they were like amazed just because I was already a strong individual and healthy, and had the right mindset that I'm going to beat this.
Yeah, that's incredible. We've seen a lot of, we've actually been talking about this, and we want to do some more when it comes to screening. We've seen a lot of young guys, specifically, again, black men, playing ball and just having heart issues and falling on the court and not making it. So there's definitely something to be mindful of health as well. And there's a lot of stress. Let's talk about the dark side for real quick. Just 'cause this is something I feel like we don't talk about enough. We say it's hard, but the dark side of it, where it's this bad day. I don't know. Have you ever had those days where it's just like pure depression?
I'm not a depressed person.
No?
Although, however, that being said, I learned what depression is from going through the heart surgery. So for roughly about, 18 months or so, I was a depressed person. You would never necessarily know it right away, but I got to see what the other side was. People say they got a mental illness and they're depressed. Let me tell you, I was there, and it's facts. I mean, it was definitely fact. I had to reach out to a lot of people to pull myself out of that dark space.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of people I feel like that we come across that have this burning idea or this passion, this desire, and just can't get, you said from A to Z, can't get to B.
That's correct.
They just can't quite figure that out. Can you just maybe give us one or two nuggets of what would be, in your opinion, what's the best next step for anybody that's listening that has an idea? It's something that they know is again, a passion. They want to get it to market, but they can't quite figure out what's the best next step.
The next step for them is really get some type of coach to help them.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're not going to figure it out on their own. And so you need some people around you to give you the right pointers and push you. Without that, you're not going to be, if you don't know what the next step is, then you need to reach out, get advice, and really get some type of business coach to help you get there.
Got it. Copy. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what we're running short on time right now, but I think we like to end the conversation. We usually play a little game, and so we know, again, like, you're not a 70s baby, 80s baby, we'll say, right?
We don't know that.
We got to pick one.
Okay.
So we're going to do, I like this one, it's simple, but Mike Jack or Prince?
Michael Jackson, all the way.
Oh, easy, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised, okay.
Told you this is the greatest entertainer
No,
of
listen,
all
I'm Michael
time.
Jackson.
I don't know why you
think
Jackson.
it's not even close?
No.
No.
You got to get a better one, man.
Okay.
Let me try to get a Long Island one for him, man.
I got a Long Island one for him.
Go ahead, get him. Go ahead.
Rakim or De La Soul?
I'll rock him all the way.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a agree to disagree. I'm an Amityville guy.
I know you're picking De La Soul.
Yeah, I
understand that.
You know, I got a high level of respect for Rakim too. We actually met Rakim last summer, and he gave us a lot of Long Island love. So shout out to God. But I'm not a De La Soul guy. I'm just an Amityville guy. So
I understand that.
I gotta go there.
But Rakim was the man.
So you a EPMD guy then?
Absolutely.
That Brentwood Bay Shore area.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Let's see, I got one. Well, I think this one will be easy, but let's see. MJ or LeBron?
That's not even why we put them in the same category.
I respect it.
It's Jordan all the way.
Okay.
What you thought of these Olympics this year too? That's what I was. You seen the games out there?
I seen the games.
Who you felt like was like the golden boy of the Olympics this year? Who took
Curry.
it? Curry took it.
Curry put him on the back.
Yeah, you put him on the back.
Speaking of the Olympics, I know I should be breakdancing now. That Australian breakdancer.
Oh, so what? Were you a breakdancer yourself?
Nah, I had my own version of pop.
What were their names? Like there was a Nitro or something like that. What were the breakdancers? Do you remember their names?
Some Nitro. I don't remember all the
Something like
names.
that. Yeah.
You're a Long Island guy. You got family across Long Island. I know you got some family in Amityville, right? Culturally, right? Who you feel the town on Long Island that's just the most culturally rich town in Long Island and black culture?
Culture, that's a great question. That's like the $1 million question. Culturally rich and
Black culture.
black culture and up and coming. I mean, so you got towns that are culturally rich, but they're not necessarily striving to be better.
You talking about traditionally or just striving to be better, like all together?
Just all together, just black culture.
Okay.
You know, black culture.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's a good question, because on the surface, I'm thinking Amityville, I'm thinking even Wyandanch, not so much Bayshore. Like I go further out east, maybe hit Bellport.
Bayshore is interesting though because you have like it's pretty diverse, right?
It's pretty diverse, yeah. But not necessarily pushing a culture per se.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a time that they did.
But then
have a culture.
I like Freeport too.
Freeport definitely rich in culture, rich in black culture. out there.
What about Hempstead?
Definitely. I look at like a Hempstead and like an Amityville kind of like the same in culture wise out there. Like Hempstead is just all the way black. Amityville got like a white side,
Yeah,
but like
south
other than
side.
that, it's kind of like
Roosevelt.
all black.
Yeah,
all
it's
black.
all black.
All black. Roosevelt's small though, so it's like a wine dance situation out there.
They used to get involved in Nassau back in the day or nah?
Not really, nah.
Bayshore guys stay in that little hub, that Bayshore Brentwood CI area. Like,
That's correct.
yeah, that's their hub out there. Huntington might like that Walt Whitman game get a little mixy for them too. Like that's a game that's mixy, but they stay in that little hub right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Derek, really appreciate the time and the conversation again.
This
Like
has
it's
been
somebody
great.
that I have a high respect for all the work that you've done, not only for the region in general, but just as a father, a husband, a man, a black man, as a CEO. And, you know, we really want to make sure that, I think it's something that we should really focus on too, is how can we build up. We do so much work with student athletes,
Sure.
but I think it's something definitely to be looked into to build up that that student CEO, like that student engineer.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
We should definitely
Figure
talk
something
about
out
this some more.
around that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
But again, appreciate you. I don't know if you have any final remarks or any thoughts, or anything you have coming up.
No, this has been a pleasure.
Okay.
It's been a real pleasure. And a little hidden fun fact is that I'm back in school.
Really? Doctorate?
Yeah, doctorate, yeah.
Okay.
So it's a 5-year journey, but we're gonna do it.
Where you
Dr.
at? Where you
Peterson?
doing it at?
Stonyberg, biomedical engineering.
Okay. Biomedical engineering.
Yeah.
So were you split in the cell?
No, well, I told you a little about my heart, so I want to go back and develop some products focused on the heart,
Solving a problem.
solving a problem again.
There you go. That makes sense. Well, Dr. Derek Peterson, appreciate you for the time. Welcome to
Speak it
Policy
into
and Culture.
existence.
There you go.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.